Hi everybody, it's Aaron Scott here. How are you doing? Alrighty, oh gosh, this is probably just going to be a relatively brief video. We're going to be talking about today's moon. So it was about 50 minutes ago that we had the exact point of our Aries full moon. This is a potent month, everybody. I mean, we're starting October 1st, with this full moon, and we are ending October on the 31st with the Taurus full moon. So an Aries full moon is starting the month, Taurus full moon is ending the month, and it's certainly bookending this particular month, and it's certainly spotlighting and highlighting it. And as you all know, we have Mercury retrograde, we have Pluto going direct. In fact, let me tell you what we have going on quickly. So today we have our full moon. Tomorrow, Friday, we have Venus entering Virgo. We have Pluto going direct on Sunday the 4th. Okay? Now, let me take a quick look at the next week. Let's see what we have. We have Mercury then going retrograde on Tuesday the 13th. We have a new moon happening in Libra on the 16th. Again, let me take a little quick look here. We have the sun entering Scorp on Thursday the 22nd. We have Mercury entering Libra and Venus entering Libra, both on October 27th. And then we have a full moon at the end of the month, okay? So there's a lot going on this month. So let's talk about what's activated. First of all, this is a potent full moon. Why? Because we have Chiron on top of it. And it's an Aries moon. Like when we're talking about a full moon, the sun opposed the moon, we're talking about a time when there are completions activated. There's certainly all of the light of the sun highlighting the moon. And this particular moon is conjunct Chiron. We also have Black Moon Lilith on Mars in the same sign. So there's a trigger activation here with a couple of woundings. There's some sensitivity that might be arising. This is not just for today, but essentially for this full moon cycle, full moon to full moon throughout the month of October. There's going to be a couple of things activated here, everybody. And let me preface this by saying that, as some of you know from my previous posting, my mother had a sudden health event and she subsequently ended up transitioning. She died last month in September. So this is very fresh for me. This morning, I heard from a client whose mother has just died. Then also today, I heard from another client whose father has just died. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, for me, I woke up with a lot of sadness today because of some stuff that was activated with regards to my own mother. And then there were these other pieces of news that came in. But the truth of the matter is the moon with Chiron, especially in Aries, will be bringing up a variety of sensitivities, hurts, woundings, the desire to heal, having sensitivity around those that are ill, have ill health, or are ailing in some way, shape, or form. And our focus right now naturally is the other. The focus right now really is people. The sun moving through Libra is a natural time of the year where we are the whole area of relationships, whether it's the lover, the partner, the spouse, whether it's the boss, the client, the employee, whoever it is that's the significant other. This is the time of year where there is some sort of, let's say, spotlight or activation. Depending on your particular blueprint, that's going to show up in different ways. Your particular blueprint will have certain times of the year that will activate certain themes for you. And if you really notice throughout your life, you're going to notice what those themes are. It could be that every spring activates a particular event cycle for you. every summer, every fall, whatever it might be, certain months of the year, etc. Just FYI, okay? So pay attention to that because it's fascinating when you really think about the patterns, the cycles that are natural to you, distinct for you. But the point here is that we are kind of focused on other. We're focused on people. There's a social component, there's a collaborative and a cooperative component. There's a desire for harmony and peace, even amidst the conditions that we now find ourselves in globally, because there's a lot of exacerbated tension. And that exacerbated tension is being spotlighted by Mars through Aries and Mars going retrograde now. But this particular full moon does have Chiron on the moon. Now, this is going to do a couple of different things now and for this next 30-day cycle. One is that there's going to be sensitivity to illnesses. So we might feel compassion for those who are physically, their physical body is ill or ailing or need some assistance. We might be called in a compassionate way to step up to help people who need some sort of healing. We might feel very much more resonant to our own call to step up and be the healer of mind, body, spirit in whatever ways we are called as individuals to do. So we're focused on the other, and there is a empathy and a compassion and a sensitivity to the wounded, to those that are ill, to those that possibly are transitioning too. I mean, when we look down here, also in Aries, this Mars retrograde, the retrograded Mars is going to bring more of an internalized process of the desire to take action on something, investigating our own passions and drivers. Mars retrograde is going to be more of an internalized process when it comes to anger and rage issues, revisiting things that have been seething or buried for a while. Do you understand? So, Mars retrograde is going to be the self moving through various Marsian processes, whether it's activating one's own passions or thinking, contemplating one's own passions, remembering what the true desire was in the life, maybe thinking back to your childhood or whatever it might be. But connecting back to your passions is going to be something that comes up during the entirety of this 5-month chunk of time that Mars is moving through Aries. However, and the retrograded process is also going to be more of an intensified, internalized process of that Mars. Now, I have to tell you, the other way that this is going to show up for a lot of people, everybody, and this is for all of you listening, this is for you to be mindful. But with Mars retrograde in Aries, there can be energy issues that come up in the body. There can be physical issues with the head, the eyes, the brain, the head, the face that are coming up. So you want to be mindful. For example, headaches, eye pain, swelling or inflammation. All kinds of things can be coming up here. So I want you all to be very, very mindful and attend. The more you can calm the energy system and calm and soothe and alkalize the body system, it's going to help you over the course of this month, certainly the month of October, especially with this particular full moon with Chiron. Okay? Because the body's illnesses or the weaknesses or the things that need to be healed in the physical body, this is naturally part of what we are emotionally feeling and connected to and sympathetic for. Okay? And for others, the people in our life that we care about that are going through certain things, there's going to be a lot of care that's going to be coming forward. But the self is also going to require a lot of healing here. That's kind of what I want to point out here as well. So with Mars retrograde, energetic issues with the body, inflammation, flame, inflammation, fire, Mars with the physical body is naturally going to be activated, especially with the retrograde still happening. Here, there's going to be some sensitivity to the wounds of the physical body, of the self. of the person, of the native, of you. Okay? So we're focused on the other, but yet there's also stuff going on with us as individuals, our own health. And again, watch for headaches and things of that nature. You want to make sure to keep yourself alkalized and hydrated and de-stressed, really. Okay? Now, the other thing with Mars is that we have Black Moon Lilith here, right? So these are conjunct for this particular 30-day full moon cycle. Again, throughout the entirety of October. And this, this can be like anger that our actions are not counting. Anger, like inner seething anger that we are ignored or not seen, or that, again, like our actions or our efforts or our energy that goes towards something is not seen or recognized or whatever. Especially here, the square that's activated up here to Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter, there's a particular tension that's activated with the actions of the individual not having impact, or seemingly not having impact, on the systems, the political systems, the government systems, the collective societal systems. Do you understand? So there's going to be some inner rage. There's going to be the feeling of being small. And this is going to create, for some people, this is going to create a lot of anger and violence. For a lot of people, they're going to not take responsibility for their own actions, and they're going to lash out reactively with this Mars Lilith energy, squaring, the system, squaring the man, right? So there's going to be a lot of reactionary, aggressive, violent behavior on behalf of some. For the rest of us, for those that are mindful, those that are responsible, this is about understanding what these energies are. It's about healing. It's about self-soothing. It's about getting in touch with the truth of what your particular anger story is, what the frustration that lives at the root of you is. Okay? So there's a lot of self-reflection about one's own behavior and one's own motivation, drivers, prompting, passions. All of this is coming up for this month. And there are wound triggers on both the emotional level and the reactionary level. And so this takes mindfulness this month. Okay? Now, with regards to the moon and Chiron, there's a quincunx activated with Mercury. Okay? Now, Mercury is in Scorpio. This is the signature for this 30-day cycle of this full moon cycle. So we have Mercury thinking deeply over the course of this month. We have Mercury wanting to get to the truth. We have our minds wanting, this is collectively. So the collective mind wants to get to the truth, wants to uncover what's been held secret or behind the veil. The mind is very focused on issues of power. And this is the collective mind. It's not just those in power. So a lot of people are going to be very focused on embodying and activating their own potency, their own power. But what you're going to see, everybody, is that there's a quincunx, there's a difficult, dissonant relationship between the mind that's wanting where the mind is focused, which is on the kind of the deeper aspects, doing the deeper dive. The mind can be very focused on topics of death and destruction here, very focused on the need to transform, right? So the focus of the mind is very much about those archetypal functions of Pluto Scorpio, which is about death, destruction, and transformation, going down to the depth, to the darkness underneath, right? The quincunx over here to the wounded moon, or the moon that's very concerned about the self that might be ill, one's own self. A lot of people are not feeling good now. There's a lot going on in the world that's activating stress at different levels. There's a lot going on, I would say, energetically. I would say, even what I want to say, this might sound a little bit odd in the middle of this reading, but EMFs, okay? So even with EMFs, 5G, etc., there can be a lot of energetic activation that's creating a lot of illness, okay? And this can be illness in the head, aggressive aggravation in the energetics of the head, okay? So what we have here is a level of disconnect. So the mind, and let me think about this for a minute here, because we also have the mind squaring Saturn. We also have the mind squaring this Varuna Hygeia. So there's this, this T square here. It's a loose T square between the Varuna and the Saturn, but it is here, okay? So we have Varuna, Saturn, Mercury, and that T square is creating movement, activity, forward momentum, and it's driven by all of these things, really. One or the other can be the driver, but they're working together creating momentum. There is something with regards to secretive communications or bringing out information that has been veiled, and it's connected to a righteous confidence of individuals creatively expressing themselves to bring stuff out in ways that are clever or creative, meaningful. But these are the individuals bringing forward information here. And that creative, righteously confident individual is opposing the control mechanisms of the powers that be. So there is something here about the focus of bringing secrets to light and doing it through creative means. So that's activated. But with regards to the quincunx, let me look at this for a minute. It's almost like there will be moments this month where the self feels weak physically, ill physically, or just not capable in some way, energetically, to deal with all of the intensities that are activating the mind now. So there might be a bit of a disconnect here. If there's a willingness to heal the emotional body, heal certain areas of the past as well. In fact, I will tell you that will come up this month. There's no question about it. Mercury and Scorpio will naturally bring up stuff from the past, baggage that's been held in the shadowed aspect, that's been not really wanting to be seen. And if you do that, if you listening to my voice confront your own fears, your own demons, your own past, your own woundings, the stuff at the core, the promptings living at the substrate of your psyche that's catalyzing the patterns in your life, for those willing to go deep and own their own shit, okay, then it's going to free up the individual, Aries, stepping into the truth of what really matters to them as a humanitarian, number 9, and stepping up to be the healer in one way, shape, or form. There's multiple ways to step up and heal the collective, or helping to heal the local community, or a bigger demographic of humanity, or, even communicating on a broader scale. Okay, but the thing is, the self can step up, to step up into the role of spiritual lessons learned, and to bring that forward for humanity. Number 9, okay, to actually be there for people, for the other. Do you understand? Let's see what else we have here. The sun is also sextiling Karma, Hygeia, Varuna. So there's something here about, um, you know, confidence being actuated with regards to the healing needed that is now karmically going on. So for the creative aspect of you, whoever you are that's listening to this video, Each of you, every human being is a creator, period. Every person is an artist. Every person. And Leo is not just about the artist, of course. There's multiple ways to express yourself that's utilizing your distinct skill sets that is very harmonically working with the natural focus as the individual, as the humanitarian, to help to help people. Okay? So creative measures can be expressed here this month. Now, there is something that I definitely wanted to point out, and this was one of the reasons why I decided to do this video. If you look at Pluto, everybody, Pluto is still going retrograde. It's going to be stationing direct this Sunday, the 4th. Okay, so in a few days, it's going to be stationing direct. In fact, it's going to be going direct at 9:32 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday the 4th. But what we have here, though, is Pluto at 22 degrees. And by the way, it's going to be at Pluto at 22 degrees for a while. It's been there for a while. It's going to be there for a while. Okay. But you're going to notice that over the course of this particular Aries full moon cycle and this month, we have this signature which has the 22-degree nodal axis as well. So we have 22 Pluto and 22-degree nodal axis, okay? These are connected intrinsically because of the numerological correlation, all right? Now, what does that mean? Well, of course, when we're looking at the nodal axis, we're looking at the growth arc that's naturally activated now. The growth arc to let go of beliefs of not being valued or not having the power, of not being valued as a person on this planet, to have a voice and to create some sort of change. But there's something else that you heard me say before that we're going to keep repeating, which is that the pattern, the South Node, that needs to be released, South Node, is this is believing the belief systems that are perpetrated in, you know, the stories that people share left and right. You know, everybody has their own opinions, everybody. A lot of discernment and vetting, a lot of turning off of YouTube, a lot of turning off of any kind of television and news. It's turning it off. There's a need to let go of what the collective consensus state of belief is, and a need to vet and discern your own mind, your own thinking, your own thoughts, your own ideas based on your own life and your own experiences here. Okay, now the 22 and the 22 is connected to Pluto here. Pluto ultimately is doing multiple things, going through Capricorn at this 22 degree, conjunct Saturn, conjunct Pluto. It's doing multiple things here. But one thing that we can say for certain with the 22 is that this is a level of higher learning that's activated now. There's a level of a need, a higher need, that's what I would call it, a higher obligation for the transformation and the death destruction of the how do I want to say this? There's a particular higher level need for the destruction of the existing structures to come into play. Okay? And with that, it also means thinking your own thoughts versus listening to anybody who is telling you what to think, what to say, whether it's subtle or manipulated. Whoever it is that's speaking to you that you're clinging or glomming onto, some idea set, some dogma, some religious orientation or political orientation that is extreme, anything that the collective or that particular extremists are spouting, you know, this can this pattern here takes advantage of people who need to follow a father figure or who need to follow some sort of figurehead. Okay? This is about thinking your own thoughts. This is what this is about. And the need for people's own power, really. You know, the destruction of these systems is playing out now, but there's ultimately the new manifestation of these systems that needs to come about and really is beginning almost simultaneously with all of this stuff. But this destruction of belief systems is really the thing at play here, right? Pluto, Jupiter. Lilith, South Node, Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter. Destruction of belief systems. Okay? So there's this need with that 22. This is the higher mind that's being called into play here. It's almost like there's a critical obligation. And 22, of course, as you know, speaks to kind of the experienced teacher coming forward. So there is a level of a call, I would say, okay? Thinking your own thoughts, speaking your own voice, not replicating what others feed because they're appealing to what? A level of victimization, a level of anger that the self holds. And again, the anger is somehow bound by the self feeling ignored. And so they're going to be all angry about it and they're going to lash out and be violent about it. But there's a level of reactionary aspect. There's a level of the infant lashing out, the toddler lashing out. And so it takes mindfulness here to mature how these activations are going to come about. The other thing that's here, everybody, and the last thing I think I'm going to talk about is the sun is quincunxing Uranus. So there's a level of a little bit of disconnect happening between where our natural focus is and the massive, let's say, changes that are happening to, it's almost like there's a distraction. That's what I want to say. It's almost like with the sun squaring the actually it's squaring Pallas Athena up here. The sun is squaring Pallas Athena. The sun is also squaring Jupiter. So there's something here with kind of confident belief systems, Saturnian, rigid, dogmatic, confident belief systems that are activating the individual. And in some cases, this is going to look like, in some cases, this is going to look like those in power having control over the person. And almost like taking advantage of the spotlight of their how they are concerned with other people. You know, because this is a T-square here. The sun, the moon, Chiron, up here to Jupiter and Pallas Athena. There's use here. There's use. There can be manipulation by those in power of those that feel weak, sick, and wounded and tired and exhausted from everything going on, and taking advantage of how people care about one another and want to show up in the humanitarian way. This can somehow be used. It's almost like storylines. Jupiter can, and in communications, mass communications, can somehow confidently come out from these pulpits and manipulate. So for those who are really not stepping into their power, not willing to go into the depths of their own real deep processes here to understand their own drivers and motivations, There could be, for some, there's going to be manipulation that can take place here. Okay? Not for everybody. Not for everybody at all. For other people, this is going to look like stepping up as the one that can help heal and teach based on all of the changes that are happening in the systems, and really showing up for people in a true way, in a humanitarian way. Yep. So it's going to be different for different people depending on their makeup, depending on their blueprint. But there is this quincunx from the sun to Uranus. So there's something here almost like distraction. Because the truth is everything is shifting. There's every kind of system. The planet itself, the physicality of the planet, the physicality of our humanness, issues of financial systems and money. By the way, opportunities can also be showing up here. There's lots of benefits that can show up with Uranus, and then there's also lots of disruption that can also show up. Both. It doesn't have a preference for how it creates the shift and the change. It just does it, and it does it abruptly to create the evolution necessary for this particular chapter in our evolutionary process. But there's something here. What is it? See, Uranus is also squaring this Varuna Hygeia karma. And this is going to create, there's if those of you are willing to go with the flow of the shift and the change and not be too rigidly attached to the things that are destructing away, whether it's houses being engulfed in fire, like happening all along the West Coast, or if it's pods of animals, beaching themselves in Tasmania, or anything else that's happening on kind of big collective levels, but also at personal levels here. There's an ability, if you're going with the flow, to adjust your value system, not to take you out of your own ethic per se, but to adjust what it is that you're valuing. Where are you focusing your attention and energy into what you value? Because the thing is, the truth is, this can distract. There's so much change going on. Uranus can create almost like a PTSD sort of a response mechanism that can create distraction for you. Energetic distraction, food distraction, all kinds of things. Like, what is it that you really value? If you can get to the root and go with the flow of the changes happening with planet, place, people, community, the collective, the systems, if you can go with that flow, then this square to these points is going to enable or catalyze the creative flow that really is going to be your skills, bringing your skills to the fore in a way that's really important now, Again, this T square here, Uranus, Mercury, Varuna Hygeia karma. This can be ingenious creative manifestation if you let it. If you alter, if you go with this flow, if you change, if you're not too rigidly attached to the stable things that you've had in your life that are now altering. They're altering. Okay? Your material reality, everybody, is altering. It is now and it will be for the next several years. So we need to learn to go with that flow. And again, we have the number 9 here. So we have the sun at 9, the moon at 9, and here we have Uranus at 9. Do we have anything else at 9? No. So we have the nodal axis and Pluto at 22, and then we have the sun, moon, and Uranus at 9. So there's something here, there's a connection between healing the self, Chiron, moon, Aries, healing the self so that we can show up in a humanitarian way, in an evolved way for people. That's number 1. And it's connected to going with the flow of the changes happening structurally. happening with our foundations, the foundations of what we thought was firm and secure. Okay? So there's a connection here. Heal the energy of the self, heal your own body. This is a very good month to really attend to health issues, by the way, everybody, if that wasn't clear at the start. So if you are having any kind of physical disruptions, energetic disruptions, this is a time to really be mindful and focused on healing the self, especially with this kind of active, heated energy that's coming into the body system. Okay? So, healing the body, healing the self, it's going to aid in how we show up for other. It's going to help us to address the big changes that are going on in the systems at play, political systems, government systems, corporate systems, healthcare, education, everything. You can also see, I'm going to land it here, okay? So we also have this yod here, right? So we have the North Node with Pluto down here to Vesta, okay? Vesta can show us many things. Different astrologers refer to this in different ways. How I look at Vesta is that this is where we are kind of committed to a role. We're committed to serving in a particular way, okay? So this commitment of expressing our own skill sets in a confident way, being creative however it emerges, if we can commit to that, then this is aiding in our own healthy mind, up-leveled thinking, evolved thinking, the arc of owning our own thoughts and our own communications and being mindful for what we communicate, maturing what it is that we're communicating versus coming from almost dogmatic um, a dogmatic scripted belief system. Yes. So when we step into the mature mind and be curious and open and letting other people in, and we're committed to a role, creativity can flow and it will come out in communications that are going to aid in the transformational process necessary now for what's happening at all holonic structures of the collective. Okay. Now, the other chart I had here, everybody, was the Eastern US chart, which includes Washington, D.C. Quickly, I'll just point out that you're going to see that the ascendant point is in Pisces, ruled by Neptune. Neptune is here in the first house. So we're talking here about perception mechanisms that are deceptive. This is an approach that that can come about, that can be diluted in some way. There can be a desire for ideal things to emerge in the life over the course of this month. For us to show up in an ideal way, we can whitewash who we are versus seeing our own darkness, which is necessary, especially as we have Mercury, 8th house, Scorpio, right? So we have this Mercury in the 8th house, Scorpio, asking us to understand our own humanness, our own darker aspects. We all hold it, but lots and lots of people refuse to see all of themselves. So they segment them, they shadow them, they put them in the dark, they put them behind a door. They won't accept the fullness of who they are. So there can be almost a way by which the self can whitewash or over spiritualize or need to idealize who they are, how they see things, how they approach their life, how they see themselves. So this is a growth edge over the course of this month. It's a given growth edge. And you can also see, just like in the other chart, we have Chiron moon Aries in the first house. So this is all about, again, healing the self, healing the past of the self, healing the emotions of the self. For some of you listening to this, you are also going to have mothers who are ill, okay? And because I've been through my experience, because I know others who have been through a similar experience, and because I have other clients who actually currently have mothers who are in care, I mean, this could be an issue for some of you listening. And so it could very well be that you're needing to attend to mother. As that calls to you, show up, be present, okay? As opposed to being distracted with all the stuff changing and going on, you might need to really pay attention and attend to mother, okay? If you're listening to this and you have a mother who is still living and who is ill, or her health has been a little questionable or whatever, or even if she's just making more contact, be present to that, okay? Um yeah, and the other thing that I'll say here is, everybody, that the north node in this eastern chart is in the 4th house. So this is about the growth being about feel, coming from a place of mind that's rooted in what really matters to you as a person. This is the growth. Here, where the south node is, what needs to be released has to do with the goal of spreading dogma, communicating to the masses, dogma, the patterns of weakening the collective through spreading dogma. Okay, some sort of philosophy or construct gets, megaphoned out to the collective, right? Well, that's what needs to be released. You as individuals need to let it go. This is about literally turning off social media. Like, disconnect from those that is an energy leak to communicate with about some of the stuff. Let it go. This is about understanding what truly matters to you, what's true for you. What's the truth of your mind? What's the truth of your inner emotional reality? Okay. Okay, everybody, and the last thing, actually, let's take a look at the Sabian symbol. Now, I'm going to turn this off. So let's take a look at the Sabian symbol, everybody. This is the symbol for the moon. So a teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images. This is the moon's placement between 9 and 10 degrees Aries. And again, this gives us a signature for the month. Okay? Keynote, revision of attitude at the beginning of a new cycle of experience. This phase is the 5th of the second fivefold sequence, and in it we find expressed the capacity to restate the problem inherent in the first phase, i.e., the problem of focusing one's energies on emotional drives and cultural values, which exclude far more than they include. The subsequent stages of development taken together have added considerably to this attitude. As a result, there arises in the consciousness a desire to reformulate at a new level much that had been taken for granted, because it indeed originally had been an evolutionary necessity. The very concrete emotion arousing images of the past can now be reinterpreted as symbols with a wider scope of meaning. At this 5th stage, a new dimension of consciousness is discovered, revealing higher possibilities of experience and mental development. This is a phase of abstraction and of emotional allegiance. Now, the beauty of all of this symbol, okay? Teacher gives new symbolic forms to traditional images. What I want you to really drink in, everybody, is the nodal axis, which is South Node Sag, North Node Gemini. This speaks very clearly to that. Very, very clearly. The deepened mind that's activated through October is also speaking directly to that. Okay? So, everybody, I send you so much love and support. For those interested in ordering their natal analysis, you can find the links below. You can also find the link for my services page If you are interested in understanding what your 2020 and 2021 natural evolutionary cycle looks like through the lens of your transits, your progress chart, and your solar returns. Okay? So for those interested, you can see the links below. If you have any questions, you can also email me through my website. All right? I send you all much love. Bye-bye.